The first odd thing was her phone face down at dinner. Brooke never did that. She used to set it by her plate and show me dumb dog videos while we ate. That night it buzzed 3 times in a row. She nudged it farther away with the back of her knuckles like it was a hot pan. "You're not going to check that?" I asked, cutting into the chicken I'd grilled. "It's nothing. Work." She forked salad without looking at me. "Can we please not make a thing out of everything? I'm tired." "Okay." I watched her glance toward the hallway. "You seem somewhere else." "Evan." She breathed out like I'd left a hose running. I said I'm tired. Don't start. If I'd known where this was headed, I would have turned off the stove, put the plates in the sink, and had the first serious conversation right then. Instead, I cleared the dishes, took out the trash, and told myself she was just buried at the office. Then the buzzing followed us into the night. She started getting home later. Team meeting ran long. I promised to help with a client deck. I'm grabbing tacos with the girls. The girls had names I'd never heard in 10 years of marriage. In the mornings, she was cold and efficient, jogging pants pulled high, coffee to go. No kiss, no quick joke, just I'm late. When I tried to get 5 minutes, she gave me the corporate script. "Everything's fine. I'm just tired. Don't push." One Thursday, I set out her thermos and a bag with her favorite yogurt and blueberries. She took the yogurt, left the thermos, and disappeared into the day. On the counter, her phone lit up with a message preview I wasn't proud of reading. "Can't wait. My place." After work, I sat in the dark garage, hands on the wheel, and thought through 2 plans. One was the old me: ask, plead, hope. The other was the version I hadn't needed in years: center my life, set boundaries, and act first. I opened the door, walked into the kitchen, and slid my credit card from the ceramic bowl. By morning, the joint account had a clean partition and the mortgage autopay was moved to my personal. I left a sticky note on the fridge: "We need a budget talk this weekend. Clear the calendar." Not a threat, a fact. She texted at noon. "Busy Saturday. Maybe Sunday." I replied, "Saturday 9 a.m. non-negotiable." No heart emoji came back. Just K. The next signal was Friday night. She came in late, hair done, perfume new. She tossed her heels by the door and bent to pick them up, then didn't. The phone went into the bedroom with her. 10 minutes later, I heard quiet murmurs behind a closed door. She came out rolling her shoulders like she'd just run a mile. "Long day?" I asked. "Can we not?" She walked past me to the fridge. "I have to be up early for a training." "At the office?" I leaned against the counter. "Evan." She pressed her fingers into her temples. "I don't need an interrogation every time my schedule changes." "Then we schedule together. That's marriage." "Don't guilt me. I'm carrying half this house on my back right now." "Funny," I said, nodding at the sink I'd just emptied and the clean counters. "My half looks pretty heavy too." She clamped her jaw, grabbed a water, and went down the hall. The door clicked. The phone buzzed again. The next morning, my sticky note was in the trash. I wasn't going to beg her for attendance at our own budget talk, so I made a new plan that didn't need her cooperation. At lunch, I drove to her office with a tray from the bakery she liked, lemon bars, and those oversweet brownies she always pretended to hate, but finished anyway. My thought was simple: show up, cut through the distance, remind us what we were good at. I parked across the street, balanced the coffee carrier on one palm, reached for the door, and froze. Brooke walked out with a guy I'd never seen. Polished, gym body, easy grin, the kind of confidence that assumes every room is waiting for it. She moved like a switch flipped inside her. Light. Laughing. She touched his sleeve as they stepped to the curb. I sat there stupidly with coffee going lukewarm and watched her swing into his car like she'd done it 100 times. My phone buzzed in my lap. A text from Brooke: "Lisa's birthday. Don't wait up." I didn't turn the key. I followed. Not bumper to bumper, just a quiet car 3 back, like in those forgettable shows you put on when you can't sleep. The guy's car pulled into a block with a high-end restaurant tucked under soft lighting. They got out together. Her face had the expression I hadn't seen in months. Open, almost giddy. She tilted her head up toward him. He put a hand at her back. I raised my phone. It wasn't a grand plan, just proof for myself that I wasn't crazy. A shadow fell across the window. A woman stood there in a staff polo with her hair in a slick ponytail and a clip-on name tag. "Excuse me," she said through my half-open window. "You can't take photos here. Private lot." The word stuck. I swallowed. I'm documenting my wife on a date with someone who isn't me. Her eyes changed shape fast. Surprise first, then the kind of steady focus people get when they're handed breakable glass. I didn't know, she said gently. I'm sorry. It's not your problem. I dropped the phone in the cup holder and stared at the bakery box beside me. I'm not doing anything stupid. I just needed to see what my gut already knew. She hesitated, then tapped the roof with her knuckles. You shouldn't be alone watching this. There's a coffee place around the corner. Let me clock out and meet you. 5 minutes. Okay. I'm fine. You're not, she said, not unkind. Wait for me. I went. I shouldn't have gone, but sitting there parked was worse. She showed up with 2 paper cups and slid into the chair across from me. Up close, she looked like she lived in sunlight. Tan lines, strong shoulders. The name tag was gone. She smiled without pushing it. I'm Sierra, she offered. I usually tell people I'm good with espresso and bad with boundaries, so I don't judge. Evan. We didn't do the therapy talk. She asked direct questions without poking the bruise. How long have you been noticing the pattern? Couple months. And you? I'm the person with coffee. She lifted her cup. Neutral party. But I will say this. You look like a man who cleans up messes that aren't his. I do. I let out a dry breath. Not tonight. We talked about ordinary things. The baseball cap on the wall with initials no one recognized. The kid sweeping behind the counter like he had a plane to catch. She made me laugh once. It felt like a wrist popping back into place. We traded numbers, not like a plan, more like 2 humans making sure they weren't alone on a bad night. When I got home, the house was quiet. The sticky note ghost mark still on the fridge. I stood in the hallway for a long minute and made a decision. Not to scream, not to plead, to move like an adult who refuses to be disrespected on his own property. I called a private investigator. Low voice, clear questions. Could he confirm schedules? Could he provide timestamps, routes, photos? He could. He asked for discretion while he worked. I agreed. Then I called my buddy Jared, who runs a small car shop off Lowell. I asked about the spare car I'd been storing after a rebuild. He said the keys were still in the office and the insurance was current. Everything okay? Jared asked. It will be. Come by tomorrow, he said. I'll put eyes on the timing belt for you. By the time Brooke came home, I had paperwork in motion. She breezed through the door like a strong wind and laughed at something on her phone. Lisa's party was a hit, she announced, dropping her bag. We did karaoke. You would have hated it. I'm happy for Lisa, I replied, rinsing the coffee pot. You eat. We grabbed sushi. She flipped her phone over and left it on the counter, screen down. You okay? Great. I smiled evenly. Everything's fine. For the next week, we lived in a polite play. She invented late shifts with new names attached. I took my own time back. I stopped cooking for 2. I stopped waiting up. I moved out of our shared calendar and set my gym hours early. I put a passcode on the garage door and adjusted the camera notifications to ping only me. Sierra and I met for coffee twice more. We didn't flirt. We talked about boundaries and work and the kind of simple sanity people forget to practice. On a Saturday, I helped her carry a used bookshelf up to her place because her landlord couldn't be bothered. She handed me a screwdriver and kept up her end of the work. It was easy in a way I'd forgotten existed. On Tuesday, the investigator sent the first batch. Clean angles, entrance doors, cars parked in pairs, a hand on a shoulder, a face tilted up. He asked for 24 more hours to finish. I told him to take 48 if he needed. He sent a final file Thursday afternoon. Routes, dates, hotels with weeknight rates. It didn't hurt. It clarified. I made an appointment with an attorney that evening. Marissa Kent, practical, mid-40s, efficient. She asked for facts. I gave them to her. She gave me options. You can file quietly, she said, sliding a pen back into a leather loop. Serve at home or at work. You don't need to explain more than necessary. Don't turn this into a fight you don't need. What about the house? You keep paying the mortgage from your account. Keep all receipts. Keep your documentation clean. We'll request an equitable split. Her extracurriculars don't change the math as much as they change the tone. But tone matters. I'm not looking for a scene. Good, she said. Then don't build one. When I got home, Brooke was already in bed with a sleep mask on like a movie prop. In the morning, she was suddenly soft. I'm making pancakes, she announced, flipping on the light at 6. You like blueberries, right? I know you like blueberries. I watched her drop batter onto the griddle like we were playing house. This because I asked for a budget meeting? I asked. You've been stressed. She slid the first pancake onto a plate and looked over her shoulder. I've been distant. Work's been nuts. I know I haven't been easy. True, I nodded. She kept talking, too fast. I thought maybe we could go up to the mountains this weekend. No phones. Just us. There it was, the first soft correction after I'd stopped dancing to her calendar. I didn't punish it. I also didn't buy it. I've got plans, I told her, pouring coffee. I'm taking the old truck out to Jared's shop. Sunday morning works for me if you want to review the budget. Her spatula paused midair. You're really going to the shop on Saturday? I am. I thought, never mind. She plated pancakes like nothing happened. Sunday then. Sure. At Jared's, we swapped stories under the lift while oil dripped into a pan. Hank, one of my guys at work, swung by to borrow a trailer and overheard part of it. Everything okay at home? He asked, eyes on the ratchet torque. It's being handled, I told him. Quietly. Good, he muttered. You don't deserve to be treated like background. Back at the house, Brooke's tone shifted again. She started poking little holes. You didn't tell me you were staying late. She tossed over her shoulder as I prepped lunches for the week. I don't ask permission to manage my time, I replied. That's not what I said. It's what you meant. She laughed like I was being dramatic. Don't be sensitive. I'm just saying we used to coordinate. We still can. Sunday. Budget. Calendar. On the table. She rolled her eyes like I'd offered to schedule dental surgery on New Year's. The next Wednesday, she staged a little performance at our neighbor's barbecue. Denise from across the street set out coleslaw. The usual crew milled around with paper plates. Brooke picked at the food and projected for the whole yard. Evan's been so checked out, she told Denise. He's married to that garage. I swear he loves the socket set more than he loves me. I sipped iced tea and let her hang her own rope. Denise's brows jumped. Jared, who'd wandered over, kept quiet. Brooke smirked at me like she'd scored a point. Quick note, I said, setting my cup on the table so I wasn't holding anything. We're not doing the perform our marriage for neighbors bit. If you have a concern, you bring it to me. Private. Same goes for me. Silence around the table thickened. Denise coughed into her napkin. Brooke tried to laugh it off. Oh, come on, she said. I'm teasing. It didn't land, I replied. New rule. No public digs. That includes family dinners and office parties. Who made you the rule maker? The person paying the mortgage and refusing to be disrespected at a potluck. I smiled slightly to soften it without taking it back. We clear. She looked around for allies and found none. Fine, she muttered. Whatever. Jared caught my eye and gave a small nod. Not applause. Just respect. On the walk home, Brooke strode ahead. You embarrassed me, she snapped as I shut the front door. You did that yourself. You could have talked to me in private. You made it public. I corrected it in the same space. I hung my keys. It's efficient. She stood there, hands on her hips, searching for something bigger to throw. Nothing came. She went to bed early, slamming drawers a little too hard. 2 days later, the second illusion arrived. She showed up at my shop with lunch in a brown bag and a hopeful smile. Sierra happened to be at the counter. She'd stopped by to ask about a rattle in her old Civic. Brought you that chicken salad you like, Brooke announced, setting the bag down like a peace treaty. Thought I'd check in. I miss us. Maybe we could do a weekend in Napa next month. I'll book it. Don't worry about money. I glanced at Sierra. She pretended not to be interested, studying the service board. It wasn't a triangle. It was a perimeter check. That's generous, I replied, keeping my voice neutral. We can consider a trip after we finish the budget meeting I asked for 3 times. Brooke forced a bright laugh. You and this budget. It's a vibe killer. It's adulthood. She shifted her weight, finally noticing Sierra. Hi, I'm Brooke. Sierra, she answered, offering a quick, friendly smile. I'm getting a quote on a noise. Your husband's team is honest. Brooke's eyes flicked to me, measuring, recalculating. Good to know, she chirped. Well, I'll let you get back to it. Text me about Sunday. Will do. She kissed the air near my cheek and left. Sierra watched the door ease shut. Awkward, she asked. Only if I let it be. I checked the estimate printout and handed it to her. Your stabilizer link's shot. We can fix it tomorrow. I'll Uber, she said. Consider it supporting the economy. That night, Brooke went brittle again. Who was that? She asked over the sink. A customer, I answered, drying my hands. She looked familiar. She works at the restaurant near your office. Her head jerked. How do you know that? Because I bought coffee there last week. She waited for more. I poured water and went quiet. She wanted to fight on my terms. She wasn't getting one. Sunday came and she actually sat down with the laptop open, a row of tabs lined up like soldiers. Okay, she said with exaggerated patience. Show me your big plan. I pointed to the columns I'd set up. Separate accounts for personal spending. Shared accounts strictly for mortgage, utilities, and groceries. Calendar is shared for major events only. Work hours, gym, and hobbies don't need pre-clearance. Nights out we schedule like adults, once a week for each of us. No questions, no commentary. She stared. So we live like roommates. No, I answered. We live like respectful partners. Clear lanes. She fake laughed. Sounds romantic. Romance is easy when respect isn't a question. She closed the laptop. I'm not agreeing to some contract. You don't have to agree, I said, standing. I'm running it. You can opt in or you can continue with your improvisations. But this is my standard. Her mouth opened. It didn't find words. She got up and went for a walk that took 3 hours and left her sunnier. When she came back, she made pasta and asked about my day. I answered. I didn't move my line. A week rolled by like that. Courteous surface, hollow center. Then came the text. Girls trip. Don't stress. It dinged at noon on a Friday with a beach emoji and a champagne glass. The photo attached was a blurred shot of a highway exit sign and a manicured hand in the corner that wasn't hers. I stood in my office with a wrench in one hand and read it twice. Before I typed a reply, I finished what I was doing. I called Marissa and confirmed documents were ready. I slid the packet into a manila envelope and set it dead center on the kitchen table with a yellow tab marked sign. I put the investigator's photos, printed, dated, neat, into another envelope and placed it beside the first. I called Jared to borrow the spare cooler. You going somewhere? He asked. Beach, I said. For a day. With who? A person who shows up. I texted Sierra. You free to get some air tomorrow? Not a date. Just sun and quiet. I expected a boundary check. She gave me a clean answer. Yes. I'm off at 10. I can drive, or you can. And if not a date keeps you breathing, we can call it a field trip. We left before dawn. The highway was empty enough to hear the tires hum. Sierra leaned back with her sandals on the mat and watched the sky lighten. We bought egg sandwiches from a food truck and ate them sitting on the hood while gulls worked their angles. By noon we were at the shore, shoes in a pile, the kind of day that makes your skin remember it's alive. Brooke's second text buzzed at 1:06 p.m. You okay? Signal spotty. Don't forget to water the Monstera. I took a breath that didn't stick in my chest and looked at the woman next to me. Sierra raised an eyebrow. You doing your plan? She asked. Yeah. Do it without hate. She pointed at the water. Hate's just a leash. I don't have time for leashes. She nodded once. Take the picture. I did. Sun behind us. Ocean clean. My hand around Sierra's shoulders because that's where it wanted to be. I hit send with a line I knew would be clear. I've got one too, a bachelor trip. Don't come back. The response was immediate. Phone calls like a fire alarm. I silenced the first, the second, the third, then the messages stacked. Where are you? What is that? Who is she? Are you losing it? Call me now. Another call came through. I let it ring out. Sierra watched the water catch light. You want to step away to handle it? She asked. In a minute. I walked to the edge of the surf, let the water hit my ankles, and then answered on the fourth call. Are you out of your mind? Brooke's voice was high, breathless. You're with someone? Who is she? Where are you? What is this? You're on a girl's trip, I said calm. Enjoy it. This is not funny, Evan. I'm coming home. Where are you? At the beach. What beach? Not relevant. What do you mean don't come back? You don't get to talk to me like that. On the kitchen table, I told her, still watching the horizon, are papers to sign. Beside them is a packet with dates, times, and photos. When you get home, sign the first. Review the second if you need to. Then pack. Silence hit the line like she'd walked into a glass door. You can't do this, she whispered. You don't have the right. I do. I'm doing it the honest way. Clean. Simple. You have no idea what you're throwing away. I'm throwing away disrespect. You're not perfect either, she snapped, panic scrambling to become anger. You've been cold. You've been distant. You pushed me out. I stopped covering for you. I waited. We're done, Brooke. Finish your trip. Or don't. The outcome stands. I ended the call. Sierra didn't ask for a debrief. We swam. We slept under the shade for an hour. We ate kettle chips and peach slices. When we drove back, I felt like a man who had finished a long, heavy job. Not happy. Settled. At the house, the lights were on. Brooke's car was in the driveway. She'd cut her trip short. I walked in without hurry. She stood by the table, envelope open, photos spread like playing cards. Her face wasn't icy now. It was broken gear noise. She pointed at the envelope with a shaky hand. You hired someone to follow me? I hired someone to document the truth. You planned this. I plan to stop living under confusion. Yes. She slapped a palm on the papers. These are extreme. They're measured. You could have forgiven. I could have, if respect was still in the room. It's not. I nudged the pen toward her. Take your time if you need a minute. But we're not debating the premise. She cried then, not pretty. She asked for explanations. She tried insistence. She tried quiet. She tried to slide her palm over mine. She tried to invoke old memories. I let each attempt pass like a bus I wasn't getting on. Evan, please, she said finally, breathing hard. We can fix this. I'll quit the late nights. I'll cut ties with everything. I'll change my number. We'll do counseling. I'll book it. I'll do anything. You already made a set of choices, I replied. These papers are mine. She pressed her lips together. For a second I thought she'd throw the pen. She didn't. She picked it up with a tiny sound, signed where the flags told her to sign, and slid the stack back to me like it burned. Happy? She asked small. Not how I measure things, I answered. But I'm finished. She packed that night. I pulled a suitcase from the closet for her and set it by the bed. I took my last run of the house to pull my own photos off the hallway shelf. The next morning she stood on the porch with 2 bags and looked at me like I might call a timeout. I have nowhere to go, she said. You have friends, I replied. You have options. You had options before you made this mess. Do you hate me? I don't give you that much real estate. Her mouth trembled. He told me I deserved better. Then go find out. I opened the door wider. I've got work. She left. The sound of the door closing wasn't dramatic. It was small and neat, like a final accounting entry. 2 days later, the paperwork was filed. Marissa handled the details like she promised, quietly. The house felt lighter. The routine adjusted in 2 days, not 2 months. I slept with the window open and the fan humming. I put the joint calendar on read-only and removed access. I changed the garage code and returned the spare key that had been on our neighbor's hook. I didn't chase Sierra. We kept doing what we'd done from the start, low pressure, honest steps. We cooked a simple dinner once a week. She called me out when I drifted, and I appreciated it. She didn't need me to save her. I didn't need her to fix me. Freedom hung well on both of us. A month later, I was at a hardware store getting deck screws when Hank cornered me between aisles. Saw Brooke downtown, he said. She looked not great. We're not in each other's loops anymore. She with that guy? I shrugged. Not my scoreboard. I respect that, he said, clapping my shoulder. Shop looks good. You look rested. I am. On a Saturday, I stopped by Jared's for a beer I didn't finish, and we sat on the tailgate while a late game murmured in the background. You sure you don't want to go scorch earth? He asked, half joking. I did the more difficult thing, I told him. I walked away clean. He nodded. Proud of you. Weeks turned into something steady. Sierra and I drove up the coast once with the windows down and the kind of music that doesn't demand anything from you. At my shop, I hired another tech and watched the schedule board fill with regulars. On Sundays, I hosted neighbors on the back patio and kept it respectful, simple, no public digs allowed. Denise laughed and said, "Looks like you redecorated your life." On a Tuesday afternoon, Brooke texted from a new number. I saw the preview. I'm sorry. Can we talk? I put the phone down. The only word I typed back was clear and kind. No. 2 months after she moved out, a mutual friend mentioned she was sharing a 2-bedroom with a colleague off a highway exit, taking the bus more, and piecing together her routine. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I trimmed the hedge and topped off the mower gas and thought about how fast life corrects when you stop feeding dysfunction. Sierra came over that night with a lemon pie from a corner bakery and a look that said she knew how the day had gone without asking. "You good?" she asked, setting the pie on the counter. "I am." "You want to take the bikes out after dinner?" "Yeah." We rode the trail by the river, headlamps low, wolves doing their work. Back at the house, I opened the door and looked at the kitchen I'd reclaimed, quiet, organized mine. Sierra leaned on the island and watched me noticing it. "You know," she said, "you never told me the line you used on the phone that day. The one that shut it down." "It wasn't poetry," I replied. "It was logistics." "Tell me anyway." I smiled, small and complete, and gave her the end of it the way I gave it that day, without heat, without drama, with the exact closure it deserved. "Don't come back." Epilogue came fast because I didn't drag it out. The papers finalized without fireworks. I refinanced the house in my name. I bought a used, ridiculously reliable truck and a boat so small it barely counted, but it moved on water, and that was enough. My shop added a second bay, and Hank took on a leadership role that made him stand taller. I planned a trip to Arizona for spring ball with Jared and didn't ask anyone's permission. Sierra fit where she fit. No pressure, no theater. Some nights, she came over with takeout, and we watched the game. Some nights we didn't see each other at all, and no one panicked. On Sundays we drove to the beach, and sometimes we took a photo. Not for proof. For life. As for Brooke, all I know is what you hear in a small town without trying. She moved apartments again, changed departments, and stopped posting nightly highlights. Maybe she's fine. Maybe she's learning. Either way, it's not my project. There's a quiet that comes after you draw a line and keep it. Not silence. Not emptiness. Just a durable peace. You don't get it by yelling. You get it by saying what you'll accept, acting like you mean it, and letting the rest sort itself out. That's all I did. I acted like a man who refuses to be treated like a spare tire. I set my terms and left the door open for the only person I needed to walk through it, me. And when someone texts you from a highway with a glossy caption and a glass emoji, there's only one answer worth sending back.